Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Today we're going to be looking at lesson 9 in the handbook of Salt and Light. I'm actually teaching part 3, which is patience. And I'm probably the worst person in the world to teach this lesson on patience, because the older I get, the more impatient I become. I can't tell you how many times I've prayed for patience. I used to say, God, I need patience and I need it now. And he would say, wait. I'd say, when? Wait. When? Wait. When, Lord? Wait. When? Wait. When? Wait. And we go back and forth on this. But then it dawned on me that he was trying to teach me patience. You see, patience isn't simply the ability to wait. It's how we behave while we're waiting. It's basically our attitude, our heart. One of the fruits of the Spirit in Galatians chapter 5, verses 22 and 23 is long-suffering. This word means patience. It means endurance, steadfastness, perseverance. The Bible uses the example of marriage, with Jesus being the groom and the church, the born-again believers, as the bride. And we are told to wait on the Lord Jesus Christ. 2 Thessalonians 3:5 says, and the Lord direct your hearts into the love of God and into the patient waiting for Christ. See, it's all about our attitude. It's all about our heart. James 5 verses 7 and 8 says this, be patient therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord. Behold, the husbandman waiteth for the precious fruit of the earth, and hath long patience for it, and he received the early and latter rain. Now verse number 8 kind of like hits it home. It continues, but it makes it a little more personal, because it says, be ye also patient. This is directed towards us. Then it says, establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord is nigh. Our attitude while we wait is a heart condition. We are told to establish our hearts. We need to learn to wait on the Lord to do his work. But too many times we think we should help him along a little bit. Isaiah 55:9 tells us that his ways are not our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. God doesn't work on our timetable. He doesn't work on our schedule. We need to have faith that he knows what he is doing. 2 Kings 5:1-14. It relates the story of Naaman. Naaman is the captain of the host of the king of Syria. He was a very important man. Naaman was stricken with leprosy. Now, to shorten the story up just a little bit, Elisha sent him a message and told Naaman to wash in the Jordan River 7 times, and thou shalt be clean. Now, this made Naaman angry. Naaman had traveled a long way to see Elisha. He thought Elisha should at least come out of his home and meet him, that he could have prayed over him. He could have struck his hand over the place. Naaman almost missed a blessing. He almost missed being healed because it wasn't done the way he thought it should have been done. God's way wasn't as dramatic as Naaman thought it should be. But it worked. And as a result, God got the glory. Not Naaman, not Elisha. In John chapter 11, we read the story of Lazarus. This is a very familiar story to all of us. Lazarus was sick. His sister sent a message to Jesus, who was about a day away, and asked him to come. Basically, they were implying to Jesus that, our brother's sick and we need you here to heal our brother. We find out that Jesus stayed 2 more days. When he arrived, Lazarus was dead. As far as the sisters were concerned, Jesus was too late. They both told him, "Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died." Many of you know the rest of the story, that Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead. Jesus didn't do what Mary and Martha thought he should have done, but he did what was exactly right. Waiting for the Lord to work in our lives is frequently more difficult than taking matters into our own hands. We are often tempted to say, let's do something, even if it's wrong. Inactions during times of stress and during times of tribulation, it goes against our nature. But we have to realize that our nature goes against God. It's our sin nature. The psalmist in Psalm chapter 27:14 wrote, "Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart." There it is again. It goes back to our attitude. It goes back to our heart. He says, "Wait, I say, on the Lord." Not only should we learn to have patience with God. When we talk about patience to God, 1 Thessalonians 5:14 tells us also to be patient with all men. So not only should we wait on God and be patient with God, but patient with all men. Being patient with people is a whole other issue that doesn't come easy. How many of us hate waiting in line? Whether we're at the grocery store or the checkout line, especially if you're in that quick checkout line where it's 15 items or less, and you're waiting so long, you start counting the other items in people's buggies just to make sure they're under the limit. Sometimes we just get impatient. We all hate waiting. If we're waiting in traffic, if the red light's taking a little longer than we thought it should, we get impatient. If the car in front of us doesn't move as fast as we think it should, we get impatient. If we're at the doctor's office and we have to wait in what they call a waiting room, that's the reason why they have them there, we're impatient. We need to learn to be patient in our lives, patient with all men. Years ago, back when I was in my 20s, and we won't go back how far that actually is, I started playing volleyball. I played a lot of volleyball. There was a group of men and women, and we were all of the same age, and we played volleyball together. And sometimes a younger person would want to play, and we'd allow them to play, but there began some murmuring and complaining when we'd let those young kids play, because they weren't quite as good as we were. And sometimes they'd miss, and they'd cost the team the point, maybe even the game. And some people were a little impatient because we allowed the little ones to play. Now, I didn't realize how wise I was back then, but now I do. But I said we need to learn to let those little kids play. Because one day when we're older, they'll invite us to play. In other words, they will be patient with you when you're older and slower and less skilled. Right now, I still play volleyball with the younger kids, and they're patient with me now. We need to learn to cultivate an attitude of patience in our lives. Ministering to other people requires patience, and is one reason why God placed us in certain situations, so that we can minister to others. We need that heart of patience. We need that attitude of patience. As God is patient with us, we are to be patient with others. When God says to be patient towards all men, he means that. Even to those people who mistreat us, we are told to love our enemies, bless those who curse us. And you know something? We can't do that on our own. We can't have that attitude without the help of the Lord. As we close here, we need to ask the Lord to search our hearts, search our lives, search our thoughts for anything that could be displeasing and dishonoring to Him. Instead of praying for patience and demanding it, we should pray for a godly heart. And this is a daily thing. Thank you all for being here. God bless you.